I just thought it.
Excellent.
Okay, great. Welcome to the UN-SDG meeting. We have an open agenda. Let me put that in the chat. Oh, yeah, so I think the most, if you have any things you want to talk about, you can add it to the agenda as well. Oops. Last week, David put out a sign up for side events for the UN Open Source Week. How many people got the registration for did everyone get it? I think they said they were sending it in batches. I think I got mine. I registered. Did everyone? Are people, how many people attending too?
I have not heard anything, but that's okay.
I didn't get anything for a side event. I got something for the main event.
Yeah, the main event. That's what I'm asking for.
I did hear some word about the side events to say that it hasn't been, finalized yet as to like what rooms will be available. So they're still working on that agenda. So they haven't sent out anything about the side events yet. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and even I think David put in like a like a section for us. Like I think they have like a sheet. I just pasted it in the notes where we indicate what's if we want to do a side event, or I don't know how they grade this, but we don't have anything there yet. We just have like TBDs in every place. So I think we could maybe chat about it in this meeting as well.
Just to add, so Sachiko from Open Forum Europe is involved in organizing the side events, in particular on the Friday. And I think there are some venues available on the Tuesday, but she's still trying to work out how big that venue is. But when I spoke to her, she was very open to have a CHAOSS UN-SDG panel. She really liked the idea, is my point. I just want to give that feedback. So it does sound like she'd be open to. I mean, I don't know how they're working it, but she was positive about the idea of that.
Okay, I'm trying to put this in the note. Did you say the open day was on Tuesday, not Friday?
There's the side event day is formally on the Friday, but I understand that they may also have a venue for the Tuesday. So there may be additional events happening on the Tuesday. But like I said, nothing seems to be finalized yet on either of those scenarios or what the process might be for registering or anything like that. So I'm trying to keep in contact with Sachiko to find out, but I think it's still a little bit up in the air, perhaps because they're still dealing with the actual registration for the main event, which I understand they're kind of rolling out in batches, those registrations. So I think they're seeing who signs up. I don't know actually. Yeah, I'm just imagining.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, we could maybe even talk about this from the sheets. I think we currently do not have like any strong details yet. So maybe we could just chat about that as well. If anybody has any other agenda item, we could put it as well. So we're on number 12, on the sheets. People are on the sheet. So first, I think David had put in this topic here for the title for the event, measuring how open source projects are saving our planets. The last time we did a side event, maybe that wasn't even a side event, it was more like when we started the launch of the working group, we had people, I think that was Open Source Summit Europe in Vienna last year. So I don't know if that title kind of aligns with everybody, or we have like some suggestions on what we might want to do for the side event. So we have the details kind of arranged out there, and when we hear back from Sachiko, we can. Do we have to do something like the lightning talks, or do we want to, because in Open Source Summit Europe, we had a round table and we divided ourselves into working groups or conversation groups. So I don't know if we want to do similar thing here and for how many minutes.
One of the things I would suggest is if they are holding this event, there'll be a lot of people who have not been here or maybe party to similar conversations. So I would definitely recommend some sort of introductory talk to help people understand the discussion so far and frame the conversation first. But I love the idea of a little of round tables or something like that to be able to discuss. So sorry, that's just an idea, but I definitely think some sort of baseline would be good to share.
Mm. Yeah, sure. I think someone raised their hand, Remy.
Yeah, I was running a little late to get here, but we're talking specifically about the hackathon, or are we talking more generally about something else?
So we're talking about the side events. So we've been thinking about hosting a side event for the UN Open Source Week. So just talking about what we might want to do, like details. I shared the link to the sheet. We're on number 12. So like David had put in like interest for us to do a side event. So we're just kind of talking about the details of what we might want to do, how many minutes, time.
And this side event, is it like all in the same venue, everybody's under one roof, or are these like separate side events that happen in other places?
Claire, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can feedback the current thinking that has not been fixed. So what I've heard from Sachiko, who's apparently involved in organizing this, is that there is a venue available on the Friday, but she has not confirmed the numbers that they can cater for or how many rooms they have. I think her intention is to offer that to the side events so that folks can take like slots or, parts of that day. And I believe she's kind of using this list that Ruth shared as a kind of almost like a CFP for that event. That will be one venue. I think at least 200 people-ish, I think. That's the kind of that, but if there's multiple rooms, who knows? And that's on the Friday. And I believe there's also an offer for a room on the Tuesday for any overflow events. So they might be offering that back. But last I heard, which was a couple of days ago, she hadn't got confirmation of those details, but she was trying to wait for that before they kind of gave feedback to the organizers on the sheet. But my understanding is from talking to her that she would be open to having something like a CHAOSS UN-SDG session or slot or something like that Ruth is now talking about. So if that was the case, it'd be with about 200 people, I guess. But that might be less round table. So so it's I think we might have to hear that before we decide, really, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who went last year, I know that time was really at a premium, and they did a couple of different they did more of a lightning talk style thing where they were like, here are these different mentors with these different subject matter expertise areas. They would get up and do like a 5-minute pitch about what their domain experience was, and then they were like around the world tables where everyone could rotate every 5 to 10 minutes and go between all the different experts. I'm not sure if that format is going to hold again this year, but my immediate suggestion is that the shorter that we can make our session, the more likely we'll be able to fit in to something, whether it exists. So that would be like having like the condensed 15-minute version or 10-minute version, and then like the full 30-minute or 45-minute, and having two versions of it ready to go. I would hedge our bets in either direction.
And sorry, just to check, what would be the goal of the event? Because I wasn't there for the original discussion, but knowing that there'd be a lot of folks in the room who'll be familiar with the SDGs, but perhaps not with the discussion that we've had here in this group, you know, I'm just curious as to what we might put as a goal, because that'll be important. Oops.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Last year's goal was like, there was no like open source week. It was just like OSPOs for good. So specifically, they were like, these are OSPO practitioners with experience in these verticals or within these domains. I think this side event is probably more broad than just OSPOs specifically. So, you know, even just saying that out loud, I'm like, yeah, they may not keep to that format that they did last year at all, because it's just a totally different focus and it's being run by different people too. So I will say whatever we did last year probably has less to do with what the goals are this year, and that is a good question for us to ask ourselves. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, Cassie.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry I joined slightly late. So what I know from Omar, who I speak to, so Omar is the organizer from the ODET side, who is the coordinator and brings together many people, is that there had been a lot of feedback from the last year's event, so to say. So they are really trying to make this year a bit more engaging. So much less of so to say, the plenary talks, but more, let's say, like, it's a wrong word, but like networking. So really the smaller groups where people can have more deep dives together, and more like birds of feather type of sessions. So that's confirmed. But then logistics are still being confirmed, which had a lot to do with, like, so to say, so last year the logistics partner for the what is it, the offsite day, or the what do you guys call it now? Oh, like side event, right? There was a sponsor, which was Microsoft, that like had a venue and food and coffee, which is very important. So there is a discussion regarding the logistics. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Fringe Day, right? Like, yeah, which had Microsoft and like many other entities. Yeah. So that's what I do know for sure. And then yeah, regarding SDGs, my assumption is that if people are coming to this, and if I were to think for the last year's participants and what they were like, I would think that they're familiar with SDGs. But everyone is kind of going through the same problem that we have. So we're all trying to solve the same problem. What is the right thing to measure? How do we measure this? And should there be a different measurement evaluation tactic for different goals at different levels? Like, should we have a different way to measure this on each like project level? Should we have this different kind of measurement at the national level, like vice versa? So yeah, so I would think that like intro to SDG people, my assumption is that many people would know, but what we are trying to do, many people are very interested in. People from the governments, people working at the UN, people working in like different adjacent area like that we don't know of. So very recently I was in touch with HRMI, so that's Human Rights Measurement Initiative. And then they were sort of living at like Berkeley, like Bolt Law School for a while. And then we just like sort of shared ideas, like how do you measure something like this? Like so they don't link anything to SDGs, but something like human rights, how do you measure this and how do you rank nations in terms of that? So I can confirm that like what we are trying to do is a high interest for many people, like participants.
So what would be useful? What kinds of sessions?
I think just thinking out loud, I know we've done a couple of like for some CHAOSS, people in CHAOSS, we've done like these metric workshops, metrics conversations. How do you measure impact? We've also had like for these meetings we've been holding for the past months, we've had some people join this group where they've talked about how they do metrics measurement within their open source project. So I think I think Claire talked about the introduction of what this group has been doing so far, and why we're doing this work, and then break down to how do you even, on Cassie's point, like how do you even think about metrics? What do you measure, right? Maybe a working session or a practical session to show that. And then we can also ask people from this group that want to share examples of what they've been doing in their respective projects. Maybe it could be 5 minutes, share what this project is doing, how they're measuring metrics as examples for people to see. I think we could combine that all into a valuable session.
Okay.
Yeah, Cassie, you can go.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I very much agree with Ruth that there hasn't been sort of like golden standards on this sort of things yet. So I do think it would be a great way to actually bring examples from the broader CHAOSS side, like what had been done, especially on this sort of very like sticky objectives that like we've been trying to measure. Like some of that might be related to like I don't really like the term, but like performance or like productivity, like that kind of things. That's really like hard to measure because some metrics are really straightforward, but like some are really like hard to measure. And then I think it would also be really good to share sort of like what didn't work well. So yeah, that's all from my side. I'll hand over to Remy.
Yes. So last year, Georg did a workshop at the side events, and I just posted the blog post in Zoom. And there was this approach that he led, which was called the goal question metric approach, where he went around and was like, okay, what is your goal? What questions are you asking? And then what metrics help you answer those questions? That seemed like a really CHAOSS aligned, productive way to listen to. Like, I think that one of the things that's good for us is like we want to share what we've got, but we also want to listen and we want to hear like what other people are trying to do with metrics and like what metrics they need and what questions they're asking. And I think that will be like a valuable thing that we can bring back to CHAOSS and be like, all these people from all these international projects, like these are the metrics that they care about, or these are the questions that they have, and like what thesis do we have as a CHAOSS community to like, we think this metric will help you answer this question that'll get you closer to this goal. I like that approach a lot last year. I don't know if that's something we want to repeat, but I just thought I would share it because it's what we did the last time around.
Yeah, sure. Claire.
Yeah, I just want to say I really like that approach too. And I'd also be very interested in creating a kind of a meta list of types of metrics that perhaps folks in the SDG world have used before, and pros and cons, because so this is not specifically related to this, but it's because in the university working group we're talking about this global innovation index, and I know that Ireland as a country has been dropped off that index because we couldn't afford to get the metrics measured. So literally it's a budget issue. So I just want to kind of put in that even as we ask those questions, we should have some sort of, I don't know, pro and con, you know, if it's been used before, or if people have ideas about types of metrics or types of measurement and pros and cons in this context, because I think it might be particular for this context.
Right, I think combining those ideas, we could have like an interactive workshop, but because it seems we want to also show how we do these metrics, and also want to hear from them or people that are more familiar with the SDGs on what kind of metrics they've used, right? Okay. Okay, how many minutes do you think we want to do this for? I've been seeing people put in like 90 minutes on the sheet, so 60, 30. $60 is good. Yeah, I think 60, so we don't overwhelm people, because like there'll be a lot of side events going on. 60 minutes. Okay. Let me see what other details do they need. But when you said the Tuesday, was it the following Tuesday or the week of that?
It's the day prior to the UN, the main event, the Oscars for Good event. It coincides with the hackathon.
Yeah. Tuesday might be fresh. People might be more engaging than a Friday.
And again, just to say, I'm not sure that has been finalized. There was just talk that there might be a venue available for that. I think Curious is also holding an event on Tuesday, as another side event that's not on that list yet because we're just discussing it now. But that, just to let you know that might also be happening at
Okay.
a third venue.
Yeah, I see David just joined. Hi, David. Oh,
Hi, I'm on my phone because I silly rebooted my computer or updated my computer by accident right before. I was going to say I need at least 5 minutes for hugs, so we built that into the schedule, please, because that's my main goal, is to see Ruth and other people from all over the world that we get to see on Zoom and maybe see them in person.
yeah.
But this all
sure.
sounds great, 60 minutes or 90 minutes. I love the idea of following along what Georg did. And yeah, really doing a survey of what's out there and what other people are doing, and trying to bring us together to see if we have any alignment.
Okay. I think these are the major details. So maybe David and I could do the description. and flesh this out more. Come back to this group.
Sounds
Okay,
good to me.
Speaking about the hackathon, Michael, do you have any news for us?
I don't have much news, unfortunately. I think someone, was it Remy? Did I see had that slide pasted in the chat earlier? That's about as much as I know personally right now. I heard from the team that they have the vision in place now, so like I think they understand the scope. I don't think it's fully communicated yet, so a lot of it's still locked up in their heads. But I think they feel good about the overall themes, etc. So I would encourage. Everybody's kind of swamped over there, especially with some of our funding cuts, but. I would encourage friendly emails into the main email address that's listed on the event page, just for checking in. And I think we, and I've made this case myself, but I think it's good for them to hear it from multiple people that people just need to have some details in order to understand the planning and who to recruit to be there, et cetera. Um, so that's as much as I know. They're actively working on more announcements. Um, I think part of it is related to they're not entirely sure which venue, like which physical space it will be in yet. It turns out to be very difficult to get a sign off on the large General Assembly Hall because, especially in this age, random large international political events happen and people, some groups take priority. So it's going to be either in the big General Assembly Hall or in the large room where we all met last year, for those of you who were there. So that's the fallback plan. So it will be a nice big space regardless. The ECOSOC chamber. But I think they're hesitant to kind of say too much about it yet because that's just like they keep kind of stringing them along. That's the term I'm thinking of. So I think that they just need to rise above that and be honest that the venue is TBD, but it will be there at the UN headquarters one way or the other. But yes, do send along any specific questions that you have to them, and that will help them kind of prioritize prioritization by complaint driven prioritization in terms of getting the comms out. Remy, you mentioned the communication. I think that Slack server has been shut down, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I have a talk scheduled for next week with the UN-ICC folks about setting up a matrix server for the space. Similar for those who were kind of involved with FOSDEM during the pandemic peak. You might remember that we had like rooms with video streams where people could kind of respond to each other. Especially with the breakout session, we were trying to think of a way to get more engagement there and potentially do kind of virtual only conversations or presentations as well for people who just can't make it at all. So that conversation's ongoing. I think we've got it scheduled early next week. So as we hear more about that, I'll let you know. But yeah, we definitely want some dedicated space. It might just be a standard, chat room, but we might be able to get some video integration and stuff as well. Also, there's the UN-ICC are actually deploying Matrix institutionally. So this could be a good practice for them. This is my angle. But we might also be able to have some support from the Element folks who'll be attending as well. So one way or another, we're gonna make sure that I'm going to make sure that there's some good online communication, like meaningful stuff that's happening and not just a one-way chat, and somehow we get it integrated into the rooms. So that's my personal goal, which I'm going to be pushing back on. So that's about all I know. Anyone who wants to be there, please make sure you filled out the registration form if you haven't yet. Even if you're not entirely certain, it's better to have you on the list than not. So just make sure to do that like today if you can. And if you're worried that you haven't heard back, and you should have, just email them. You can also contact me, but I'll just end up emailing them myself. Sometimes it's not always clear to them, like if you're representing this group, the SDG working group, they should know that, and once they know that, they'll bump you up. So that's about all I have for my side. Unfortunately, not a ton of new stuff, but I've got a new colleague starting here on my team this week, which is fantastic, which means I'll have a little more bandwidth to start doing stuff. So that's fun. And they're planning to join us in New York as well. But everything's a bit scrappy, much more than we had hoped, but things are moving. We're hoping that people can still attend to the extent possible. We're obviously worried about people's travel restrictions and funding restrictions again. So that's why do let us know if you think you can make it, and let us know if you think you can't make it as well. That'll help us prioritize some investment into the virtual stuff as well. That's all for me. Over to whoever wants to go next.
Yeah, David. Go.
Hi, thanks for that, Michael. I was wondering, I assume that there's no budget for like students who want to travel to that. I've been telling them they're probably on their own dime. Is that the case?
I haven't heard of anyone with funding. So I've heard people who wanted to have funding sources, but I've not heard yet of anyone who is actually able to secure any, including even the big OICT group who were able to do some funding last year. So nothing that I've heard of yet, but I'm definitely keeping my ears open for anything.
Okay, I'll keep that same message. Thanks.
Okay, I think maybe we might not have this detail, but it seems like this year the hackathon is going to be hands-on in person, as opposed to the last one that they did last year where it was before pre-conference.
Ruth, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
catch all of
I
it.
was saying like it seems like the hackathon this year is going to be more hands-on in person on the day than like I think last year it was mostly pre-conference and then people came to like present.
Yeah, so last year they have a different series of hackathons called Reboot the Earth, which is still running, and then they're doing another edition of it this year, but it's not linked in with this week's events this time, just for timing reasons. And so these will definitely be standalone types of events. There may be some coverage on Wednesday and or Thursday about what happened in the hackathon, but I haven't heard specifically how they might be kind of promoting that or sharing that back into the main sessions.
Okay. I think we just need to wait from the details from them. Looking forward to that. Okay. I think to Claire's point about sharing a list, I think I agree too. So maybe we could start a thread on the UN-SDG channel and see if for people that haven't gotten the invite, and then we can put up that list. I'll start a thread just after this meeting.
Yeah, if they can get like a single document to kind of cross check against the registrations, that I think would really be helpful for them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. I'm trying to see, do we have any other agenda items? No. Okay, I think that's all for today. So myself and David will kind of take the action item to work on finalizing the details for the side event. And then Claire, if you hear back from Sachiko, please let us know. Oh yeah, we can start a Google Doc and just drop it in Slack, really, for people to put in their details than having to transfer it. So yep, sure.
And thank you, Michael, for dropping the open source week at UN.org. Please don't share this, but I was just about to drop Umar and Medusa's email. Like, yeah, these are the people, but I think that will scare them very much, and I will be like not appreciated for next 5 years, like by them.
They probably also won't read that as quickly as the shared inbox
Yeah.
from my experience.
Yes. So it's like, yeah,
They're all pretty.
these are their email address and phone number. Here's how you can reach them. Like, yeah. So
Yeah. Cassie, did you have the Google Doc already, or?
yeah, I can start it. Yeah, but it would obviously be my doc, which I'll just like make the permission all open, and then maybe we keep it open for next like week, and then inform, yeah, and then just write one email with
Yeah.
this people CC'd to the organizers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
It
on
might
the
be nice.
time,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you have an initial list, I would send it sooner rather than later and then update in a week, because I know that just, I don't know if that was, Michael, what you were going to say. I think that they're doing those confirmations now. So even as a first run, if you get a good couple of numbered names in 24 hours, I would send that in before you wait.
Yeah, sounds good. Then I'll just drop the thing in Slack. So what I know from this room that's going is obviously Michael, and Claire, Angela, Remy, Ruth, right? Anyone else that's already gotten confirmation or already submitted?
I mean, I think there are some here who have submitted but have not heard yet.
Got it. Okay, then we take it offline and I'll just like start the doc and I'll just ask people to fill in as soon as possible. And yeah, I'm happy to drop an email to them, and if needed, like message Omar on WhatsApp or something to yeah. I just don't know any other way to get to him, because
Makes sense.
that's what I used to
Yeah.
talk to WhatsApp. So yeah.
It
Go
might
with
be
what
good
works.
in that document, like because
Mhm.
some people have gotten the official confirmation. Some people have applied and definitely are planning to go, but haven't
Yeah.
received the confirmation. Some people have applied but aren't entirely sure yet. And some people haven't applied at all. So it might be good to like understand who are in each of those groups.
Yeah.
So if there are people
Okay.
who are
So
waiting, we can prioritize those. And like for those of us who've gotten a confirmation, we don't need to bother, they don't need to bother looking us up or anything. Just
no. Okay, great. Yeah, then we'll make a table with probably like 5 columns.
spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, some type
spreadsheet,
of table or
like five
spreadsheet or
columns. Yeah.
yeah.
People's name, email, and sort of their home or mother organization. And then the confirmation status or situation. And yeah, happy to send that to the organizers, and see what happens. I'm just thinking if there's over-representation, that could be like a reason for them to say no. So that's why I think mentioning home organization is important.
Mm.
Yeah, that it's not a over-representation situation. It's just the nature of this sort of working, like voluntary working groups.
My impression is the reason that they have part of the reason they've been moving slowly beyond just capacity is they've got a mandate that they're supposed to prioritize UN personnel to attend, and so they don't want to like crowd them out, like people who might apply a bit later. So it's a little bit tricky in this kind of dance that they're doing. Remy, to your question, I was told that they received over 1,000 requests. This was like 2 weeks ago that I heard that. So,
Wow.
so there's definitely interest. Like, it's not clear how like serious those people are. Like, people might be like thinking optimistically about it being able to attend, but okay, Claire, you've got even a better number, 1250. Yeah, that's probably right. So yeah, it's a very good number. It's definitely the target that we were aiming for. Again, notwithstanding risks around, last minute cancellations, etc. But it'll be a nice party. My birthday is on Thursday of that week, so I'm gonna hang out with my open source friends on my birthday.
Remy's birthday was last year around that time. I remember. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Cassie. I think, do we have any other things to talk about? Okay, no. All right, thank you everyone for attending, and hopefully see you all too. All right, take care. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your work. Cheers.